Thank you, honey. Hey, how are y'all doing? My name's Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate running for United States Senate here in Arkansas, and we are going to start our first weekly live stream update and Q&A in a little bit, actually. I think it's been a few weeks since we've been able to do this because I've been out campaigning on the weekends and haven't had time. And because of that, I actually specifically set my tour tomorrow for Eureka Springs, Harrison, and Jasper to Sunday instead of Saturday. That way I could join y'all this evening. So give me just a couple minutes. Let me go ahead and get this shared to all the different groups, shared on Twitter and all these things. And we'll start in just, let's go for 2 minutes. And I am sorry about the display right now. I got all my video equipment. That way, when I'm doing news interviews, it'll look a lot more clear. Hopefully you can see the difference already. Huh? Oh, is it not? Let's see here. And what we'll be doing is I'll have someone come over and help me get this all set up and dialed on in the next day or two. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right, so let's get this shared real quick, and then we can go ahead and get started with our weekly update. And I'm probably actually just going to share it from my phone because it works a little bit easier through there. And then we can go ahead and get started. All right, let me turn that volume down. Sorry about that. But I hope you guys had a nice week. We have a lot going on right now with schools about to open next week, trying to figure out what we're going to do with our children. Man, what a crazy time we live in. I have got teachers messaging me, worried about their health and safety, trying to figure out what they're going to do with their classes. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But again, let me get this shared and then we can actually get started. It is dark. Okay, so I'll see what I can do about fixing the colors for the next live stream. All right, it's a little bit warm behind these lights. Okay. All right, so I've got you shared on Twitter. We should be set there. Let me close this down. All right. Hey, Corbin, thanks for joining. Awesome. Rosa, thank you for joining us, Rosa. It was such a pleasure meeting you the other morning. Thank you so much for your support and joining us for a breakfast lunch. That was awesome. No, Stephen, I'm not from Canada. I'm not from Russia, and I'm not from China. All right. So let's go ahead and get started because I do have a lot to update. Like I said, it's been a few weeks since we've been able to do a weekly Q&A live stream update. So I have to tell you all about my 4-day tour, my NWA tour, and then my tour that's upcoming tomorrow. So we've got to go over all of that. I have new things that have happened with our court case that we can go over, so I can go over all of that. Oh man, there's so much to go over, and that's not even getting into like COVID and everything else that's been going on. So, all right, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So, my name's Dan Whitfield, and I am the independent candidate running to unseat and replace Tom Cotton in the United States Senate here in Arkansas. My website is replacetomcotton.com, as you all mostly know. I have my awesome little logo down here. I love the little logo down in the corner. I don't know which way to point. Oh, there we go. It's right there. It's super awesome. And again, I am going to work on getting all of the kinks fixed on my display for my next weekly update next week. I woke up this morning, I started working on a paper. I got the paper finished, and then I went straight into spending like almost 3 hours preparing all of my store orders. I've got so many store orders all the time. Nobody tells you, as you're a candidate for office, how much time you're going to put into the store. But I got all my store orders done. Unfortunately, I was only able to get about 5 out of 30 of the boxes that I had that were the yard sign portion of it mailed out today, because by the time I got to the post office, they were closing at 3. So if you had were expecting one of the free yard signs from our donation fundraising drive back in February, if you haven't got it yet, then you should be getting it here in the next few days. All right. Hey, Grant, thanks for joining us. Oh, wow, I've got a whole bunch of different comments on here. This is an awesome new platform. Oh, man. All right. So let's start with ballot access, because that is the most common question I get. Am I going to be on the ballot? Will you be able to write me in? So straight away, you will not be able to write me in no matter what happens. And the reason for that is because in order to run as a write-in candidate, you have to sign a political practices pledge during the filing period, where you have to check the write-in box. Now, when I signed my political practices pledge back last November, I ran as an independent, of course, because I had no way to foresee COVID-19 severely burdening our signature collection efforts. I never considered running as a write-in. And because of that, I cannot run as a write-in. And if I had filed originally to run as a write-in, I wouldn't be able to be on the ballot as an independent. So it's kind of interesting how all that happens. And then that also doesn't take into effect, which is another interesting thing. When you do run as a write-in, you have to file your political practices pledge during the filing period, but you have until August 5th to write all of the counties and inform them that you are going to be on the ballot as a write-in candidate. So why is the deadline to notify the counties August 5th, but you have to file during the November filing period? It's kind of odd. So I will not be able to be a write-in candidate. Will I be on the ballot? We are in the current legal process for ballot access. I'm confident we're going to win our case. We're just trying to get this case done before it's too late. So what's going on right now is basically I have appealed a decision that Christine Judge Baker made in my favor because she stated we do not have the standing for preliminary injunctive relief, but we do have standing for declaratory relief. And she also stated that COVID-19 was not a severe burden on our campaign, but a significant one. So, as long as the Eighth Circuit courts will deem that COVID-19 was in fact a severe burden and not a significant one, then they will grant us our declaratory standing and we will have ballot access. So, will they say that it was a severe burden, not a significant one? I'm very confident they will, because we can see how COVID-19 was a severe burden in every aspect of our lives. The question that I get is, well, how was it a severe burden when our state didn't close down? We were one of 4 states that didn't close down. So, yes, we did not close down because our governor was negligent in his duties of protecting Arkansans and put businesses over people's lives. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of people were freaked out by COVID-19. And this was back before we started getting stir crazy from self-quarantining. This was right at the beginning. On March 13th, when he issued the orders of the states declaring a state of emergency, we closed down schools, we closed down public buildings, we closed down government offices. Tom Cotton's office is still closed. The Capitol is closed. The Secretary of State's office is closed. It was obviously a severe burden, and we even closed our schools. Now, we closed all these different buildings and businesses during this collection period. Now, another thing that we do have to consider is that even though we weren't on a mandatory lockdown, people started hoarding groceries. We all saw what was going on at the grocery store. We were having limit 1 on toilet paper, on meat, on different products that were selling out because people were hoarding products getting ready to home quarantine. People were home quarantining. They weren't going out. They were, even though our governor said, oh, it's all good, it's safe, don't worry about it, don't wear a mask, it's against your constitutional rights, you'll be good. Yeah, people weren't that stupid, and we started to stay home for the most part. So it did have a severe impact on our signature collection, and I'm confident that the Eighth Circuit Court will agree. As soon as they agree, that's when we have our ballot access. Let me read a couple of these comments real quick. Sorry, I'm hydrating. Like I said, I spent like 3 hours out in the garage packing boxes. It was hot and I sweat a lot and I'm just hydrating. Let's see here. Hey, Betty, thanks for joining us from Jonesboro. Yes, they said COVID-19 was not a severe burden, and the Solicitor General, Nicholas Baroni, even when they opposed our expedite for our case, stated a reason to oppose our expedite was because COVID-19 wasn't a severe burden. So, obviously, these people are just living in a whole different world. Yes. Exactly, Betty. Asa, he's a Republican GOP pawn, just like many of the other ones. They do what their party tells them to do, no matter what's best for their constituents, which is why parties have become so dangerous to the American people. All right, I'm all caught up on here. So, that's kind of where we are with our case. The Attorney General, Leslie Rutledge, did have until August 21st to file their brief. They filed their brief last night on August 21st at approximately 7:44 p.m. after business hours, after the ballots had their names ordered on them. They did this on purpose. She could have filed that brief at any point. It's crazy because her office, they keep saying how busy they are, but we keep seeing them out playing golf. We keep seeing Leslie Rutledge out like 3 to 4 times a week campaigning around the state for her governor run. They must not be that busy. So they could have filed their brief any point between July the 22nd and yesterday, but they chose to wait until yesterday at 7:44 p.m. after business hours for a reason. And that was because yesterday was when our elections committee went ahead and created the list of names of names for the ballots. Now, that doesn't mean that we cannot get ballot access. What that means is they will start to print the ballots most likely on Monday if they have not even started already today, possibly trying to rush the process. And they will probably print the ballots. Now, our oral arguments are going to be set after we get our panel of judges. Another reason she waited until after business hours was that way she could file her brief on time, but it could not be reviewed until Monday. So it will not be reviewed until Monday, basically delaying for an extra couple of days because they've been using these delay tactics to enforce their ballot suppression. So we'll get their brief reviewed on Monday, and then we can get our panel of judges assigned to our case, which is going to be the make or break. So I'm hoping we can get some good judges. You never know what we're going to get. As an independent, I do have a little bit of it's going to benefit me a little bit being an independent because even the more conservative Republican judges will probably take more kindly towards me being an independent rather than me being a Democrat, because that's just the way party politics work. So we're waiting to see who our judges are going to be, and we should have our panel of judges assigned by next week. Now, once we have our panel of judges assigned, that's when I'm going to file another expedite. So far, we filed our first expedite on July the 8th. And on July the 9th, Attorney General Barr came and talked to my opponent Tom Cotton and the defense counsel Leslie Rutledge together in a meeting, which is unethical all in itself. But on July 8th, we filed our expedite, and on July 20th is when the Solicitor General Nicholas Baroni decided to file the opposition for our expedite. And then on the 23rd, the opposition to or the motion to oppose our expedite, or rather, if I'm going to use legal terms, was approved by an unknown administrative panel of judges that are not assigned to my case. They have nothing to do with our case. So realistically, they honestly should have nothing to do with whether or not we get it expedited. So part of the reason that he filed the opposition to our expedite, he stated, number one, we weren't serious because we waited 2 weeks to file our expedite. And he manipulated the timeline to deceive the administrative panel into thinking we were being negligent. And he even used the words negligent. Well, the thing is we filed our appeal on, I believe it was the 28th. And then after you file the appeal, you have to wait for your appeal case number. After the case number, you have to file, you have to put in the transcripts, you have to file some other things. And then after everything is filed, that's when you can file the expedite. We knew right away, the day we had the ruling from Baker, we were ready to appeal and to expedite. It just takes time, unfortunately. And he used that timeline to manipulate it to make it look like we were being negligent when we weren't. All right. So the next thing to do, basically, we're waiting for our panel of judges. We're going to file a new expedite, and then whether or not they approve it is kind of irrelevant at this point. If they do approve it, which would be amazing, then we should actually be able to get our oral arguments set for early, sooner rather than later. Right now, I think they've already set the oral arguments for September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd because Attorney General Leslie Rutledge waited until after business hours yesterday to file their brief. They did that all on purpose. They're delaying. All right. So I know I'm just talking a lot about ballot access. I haven't even gotten into our tour and things like that. Oh, man. I've got so much to say because it's been so long since I've done this. Let's see here. All right. Hey, Kenneth. Thanks for joining us. Rutledge doesn't work for us, in my opinion. I agree, Betty. Rutledge doesn't work for us. She works for her party and her donors, most like all the other Republicans in our state, unfortunately. Liza, have you considered endorsing another candidate if you don't receive ballot access? I had considered it, yes. I was ready, actually, to throw all my support behind another candidate until that candidate started using deceiving terms and manipulating and basically saying that he deserved to be on ballot access, to get his ballot access because they got 10,000 signatures, and we didn't deserve it because we couldn't get 10,000 signatures. Well, it was two very different circumstances, so and then looking at how he's agreeing with Tom Cotton on different policies, I just really worry that what is a libertarian going to do that's any different? It won't be Tom Cotton. That's correct. It will not be Tom Cotton. But a libertarian, are they going to caucus with the Democrats or are they going to caucus with the Republicans? Is he going to vote on legislation the same way the Republicans are voting, or is he going to vote the way Democrats are voting? It's just so hard because I honestly don't think that a libertarian is going to vote any differently than what a common Republican is going to vote. I don't think it'll change anything. The only difference will be it's not Tom Cotton, it'll be a libertarian, but it's still, legislatively, we're going to be affected the same way. We're still going to have someone voting to cut our social benefits, someone to make the government smaller, someone who wants to deregulate industries to maximize profits. It's just going to be really hard. I had considered endorsing him, but I'm not going to endorse him. I'll never tell anyone how to vote. Bernie Sanders told me he would never tell me how to vote, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. You need to vote how you feel in your heart that you need to vote. Do your own research. Look at the candidates. Look at their policies. Look at who they are. Are they unemployed, staying at home video games, or are they working really hard? Are they going to work for me, or are they going to be lazy? I don't know. These are things that you have to figure out, and the decisions that you'll just have to make yourself. Let's see here. When will the case be decided so we can get you on the ballot? So right now, like I said, we're waiting for a panel of judges, and many different things can actually happen once we have the panel of judges assigned. So realistically, they can do whatever they want. They could just make a determination right then and there. They could decide next week, COVID-19 was a severe burn. He should have ballot access. We are going to rule in his favor. They don't have to hear oral arguments. They don't have to do anything. They can do whatever they want. That is a possibility. They could also say COVID-19 was not a severe burden. It was only a significant one. He does not need to be on the ballot. We don't know what they're going to say. It does depend on the judges that we get, and I think public support is also going to play a huge role on this. We need as much public support and pressure as we can get. That's why I got this video equipment for all my news interviews. I think I've done 4 or 5 news interviews this last week. Some of them should be airing tomorrow. Make sure you watch Capitol View tomorrow morning. I think that's going to be a really, really good interview where we covered a lot of just very important points. Capitol View tomorrow morning. That'll be a good one. And I just want to make sure that we're able to get our message out there and get our message across, because it's not ending whether or not we have ballot access or we don't. I'm going to continue these live stream updates. I'm going to continue talking about the problems we're facing and exposing the corruption of what's really going on behind closed doors. This is all just important stuff that we can't afford to ignore anymore. We need to be talking about these problems. We need to be bringing these problems up front for everyone to see, so that the people who are using their elected positions for financial growth, that we can put the public pressure on them to make them stop. Let's see. I'm holding out hope. Messaged every news station. Thank you so much, Liza. Yeah, that's really helpful right now. Message the news stations. Message the media, the national media. Let everyone know what's going on here in Arkansas, because this is one of the most important races in history. It is amazing. There is a Republican running without a Democrat. And the reason there's no Democrat is because they blackmailed him out. This is really important stuff that needs to be talked about that a lot of people just don't know about. So please keep reaching out to the local media, to the national media. Let's get this story out there so that this kind of thing does not happen again. Yes, I agree, Rosa. They are just scared they know I'll win. Let's see here. Who should we pressure most? The Secretary of State. So, Betty, I am not allowed to tell you what to do. I made the, I don't want to say I made the mistake, but so, oh man, how can I state this and not get in trouble? At one point, people decided to reach out to the Solicitor General Nicholas Brony about his opposing our expedite and trying to keep me off the ballot using delay tactics. He received 140 emails that night from concerned Arkansans. He's a public servant. He works for us. And after he got the 140 emails that night, he contacted my lawyer and threatened us. So I had to go and post, "Don't contact so-and-so. I didn't ask you to do that, blah, 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 blah." But yeah, I can't tell you what to do. But as a concerned Arkansan citizen, a citizen of Arkansas, I reach out to my elected officials and tell them what I want, because that's their job, is to listen to me. And you're welcome to do whatever you feel is the most appropriate action to talking with your elected representatives. All right, so we have gone through ballot access for like 20 minutes, and I think it's kind of clear where we're at right now. We are just waiting now for the Attorney General's brief to be reviewed, and then after that for the panel of judges to be assigned. All right, let's see here. Almost finished my water bottle. Okay, moving on. So, number one, thank you guys so much. You guys are really awesome. As we all can tell and as we all see, we have just these crazy forces pushing us down. We have corrupt legislators. We have corrupt government officials. We have the United States Attorney General even helping them. All of these different people trying to keep us down. And I want to thank you guys so much for helping lift me back up. I wouldn't be able to keep this fight going if it wasn't for your support. You guys are just the best. Thank you so much. I get the question a lot, what happens next? What's next if we don't get ballot access? If we don't get ballot access, as soon as we find out whether we do or do not have ballot access, I will be scheduling a live stream event where I'm going to be asking for the maximum amount of public participation as I can get, where we're going to decide what y'all want me to do going forward. And I guess I'll just leave that at that. So make sure when that point does come, if I do not get ballot access, you can participate in that so that we can figure out together what to do next, where we go from here. All right, so 2 weeks ago, because it's been a few weeks since I've done my live stream Q&A and update, I guess right now, real importantly, if you have any questions throughout this video, make sure you ask in the comments, and I'll get through all the comments and I'll answer all of your questions. All right, so we started our 4-day tour. I got to meet so many of you, and it was really cool. Thank you guys so much for your support. We started on a Saturday 2 weeks ago, and we began, I believe it was in Fort Smith. And we met at Fort Smith, and then from Fort Smith, I went to Waldron, Lucas, Mena. After Mena, we went down to Texarkana. And then from Texarkana, we went to Magnolia, El Dorado, Hot Springs, Little Rock. We stopped through Pine Bluff, the Arkansas Post. Oh my gosh, the Arkansas Post was beautiful. Didn't get to talk to anyone there, but it was beautiful to see the history of our great natural state. After the Arkansas Post, we drove up through Jonesboro, and then we went from Jonesboro to Piggott, to Batesville, to Mountain Home, to Harrison, and we actually ended up stopping in Harrison because weather. And thank you guys so much, everyone who showed up in Mountain Home. It was crazy, y'all. We were just standing in a park underneath some trees, and you just hear thunder and see lightning, and it wasn't raining, fortunately, so we were still able to meet and talk. But thank you guys so much for bearing through the storm with me, to ask me all of the questions that you guys had and listen to what I had to say. I do appreciate it. So that was our 4-day tour. We ended up driving 1,330 miles in 4 days. And thank you so much, Christopher, my communications director, and Damon, my videographer, for tagging along for 4 days with me, leaving your families behind. Just so y'all know, they are unpaid volunteers who are just passionate about change, who want to see Tom Cotton gone, and who want to see Arkansas change to start representing the people more than the giant special interests that are out of our state. So thank you, Chris and Damon. I really do appreciate it. For our 4-day tour, we did bring 2 vehicles, so we had to gas 2 vehicles, and we stayed in 2 separate rooms for social distancing reasons. But with food, gas, and lodging for 4 days for the 3 of us, we spent a total of $1,042. So it wasn't that bad. We tried to eat as cheap as possible, fast food a lot of the way, got some energy drinks to keep going for the drive and coffee, stayed in Econo lodges, Days Inn, just trying to make sure we're managing donations in the best possible way. So a 4-day trip, $1,000. Awesome. Last week we did our Northwest Arkansas tour, and we started, oh my gosh, in Bella Vista, actually, in my hometown here. We started in Bella Vista, and then we moved down to Bentonville, to Rogers, oh my gosh, Springdale, Fayetteville, and then Siloam Springs. Whew, what a fun day that was. Oh man, and thank you so much, Pure Joy Ice Cream, Siloam Springs. Check it out. Mr. Matt, amazing. Like, your chocolate ice cream, I don't know if it's like, I don't even know, but it was so freaking delicious. So stop by Pure Joy if you're ever in Siloam Springs. And I did get your beer. Thank you so much, by the way. I drank it the other evening, and wow, I didn't realize you had actually canned it like that day. So thank you. That was pretty cool. So that was really cool. And then the first part of our NWA tour, we actually started in Fort Smith, where we met at the Fort Chaffee Veterans Museum, the Vietnam Vet Museum. And then after that, we moved on to Clarksville. And then from Clarksville, we went to Russellville, down to Dardanelle. And then I wasn't able to confirm anyone in Paris, and it was getting late. So after Dardanelle, we went ahead and headed home. But again, if you guys ever want to meet with me, we will be doing more tours. I'll be going around. I'll be listening to you. Make sure you let me know what your concerns are, and make sure you let me know how I can best represent you and what I can do to help your family grow in Arkansas. Let's see here. I'm going to read a couple more of these. Let's see. All right. Love to help make parts. Platform shout out from Bentonville. Oh, thanks for joining us, Dennis. I appreciate it. All right. So we did our tours. That's where we're at. Now, that's kind of what we've been doing as far as ballot access and our touring. We've actually driven in the last 2 weeks 2,500 miles around the state. 2,500 miles. What a couple of weeks it has been. I was able to go out Thursday and speak on, I think it's KABF, 88.3 North Little Rock. But that was really cool, actually. Mr. Tony had actually forgotten that he had invited me a week ago because he's been traveling all over the state for his work as well, and he invited Sean with the BLM movement on the same day. So it was very fortuitous what had happened, and we were able to get a really good conversation going about myself and my platform, and then how it can relate with the BLM movement. KABF, there we go. So that was really cool. We did that Thursday, and then we finished up Thursday. After that interview, I met with a couple supporters. Thank you so much, Rosa and Grant, for meeting with us. And then after that, I actually went to Ron Coleman's Crystal Mine and wore myself out. We decided no more filling up, a bunch of 5-gallon buckets with little quartz crystals. We went for the big boys, and I got some nice big quartz crystals. I mean, that one must weigh, 300 pounds? Probably at least 300 pounds, one of these crystals that we got. So I got a few really big crystals. Anyways, that was a lot of fun. I love Ron Coleman's mine. It's awesome. So then we came back through Jessieville. I always stop at that Burger Shack. Awesome place, fried pickles, good stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where we've been. And upcoming, now we can go to that. What I have upcoming for this week is, as far as ballot access goes, the Attorney General's brief has been filed, so we are waiting for our panel of judges so we can file a new expedite. And I hope you're watching this, Brony and Rutledge. I know you guys keep a good eye on me. They're probably already going to have their opposition to our renewed expedite ready. So good. Don't wait 14 days and continue your delay tactics. Otherwise, it may be too late. Let's see here. I'll go over that in just a minute, honey. And then the next thing we have upcoming is tomorrow. I will be continuing my Northwest Arkansas tour, and I will be starting in Eureka Springs tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Okay? 9 a.m. Eureka Springs tomorrow morning. I'm going to be, I think it's called the Basin Park, but I'm just going to be right downtown and that little amphitheater area. It's just so beautiful right there. So if you're in the Hot Springs area, make sure you come out and meet me, get to know me a little bit, ask me any questions you have, and I look forward to seeing y'all. Let me go ahead actually and just pull up my graphic I have so I can give you the correct dates and times. There we go. Basin Park, awesome. That's going to be at 9 a.m. 12 p.m. is going to be Harrison at the Boone County Courthouse. So I'll be at the Boone County Courthouse. It's very centrally located in the middle of town at 12 o'clock noon in Harrison. So if you have any questions, come out and talk to me. I'll have a few more free things to give out. I'm starting to run out of merchandise, so I need to update the inventory for my shop, and I'll see where I'm at and how much extra stuff I can bring along with me. But I've got some free stuff, and if anything, I'll have a whole bunch of bumper stickers and a bunch of t-shirts and things like that for y'all. So our last stop up tomorrow will be in Jasper at 2 o'clock, and that's going to be in Bradley Park. So Bradley Park, it's right along the... Oh, I know. I saw that later in Eureka, but there's a reason that I'm doing Eureka Springs first. So Bradley Park is in Jasper, and it's right along the Little Buffalo, and it's just a beautiful area. I drove by there before, and I think it'll be a great spot to meet. So if you're in Jasper, we can meet there. I wish we could do the Ozark Cafe again. I love meeting you all over at the Ozark Cafe. It's just such a wonderful establishment. The environment's so just amazing, the ambience. But that'll be at Bradley Park at 2 p.m. And I'll stay there until about 3. And then after that, I'm actually going to be heading up to, is it Steel Camp? Steel something or another. I'm going to the Buffalo River. I've only been to the Buffalo River once before, and I am ready to go swim in the Buffalo. So that's why we decided to do Eureka Springs first and then Jasper last, is because I want to go by the Buffalo afterwards. And that's kind of what we're going to do tomorrow. So it's going to be a very fun and exciting day. I look forward to meeting whoever can make it, and that'll be a good time. So that's kind of where we're at upcoming. Other than that, we're just waiting on ballot access. So yeah, let me go through some of these. Are there any other questions? Oh, I got some comments I can scroll through. Hey, Lenise, thank you for joining us. I need to share the crystals. Oh man, I'll get some pictures posted, Rosa. I need to add you onto my Facebook, my friends list. I've just got hundreds of friends requests, so I rarely add people nowadays. But if you send me a request, Rosa, I'll get you added and show you my crystals. Oh, here we go, Nick. All right, I'm ready for you. I love answering your questions. Nick Murphy. Dan, you talk about being an independent, but you're largely focused on the problems with the Republican Party, which makes sense since you're trying to unseat Cotton. But Oh, I gotta do see more. But can you discuss some of the issues you have with the Democrat Party as well, please, sir? Some issues I have with the Democratic Party. All right. Issues I have with the Democratic Party. How do you say this without offending Democrats? How do you, well, I guess just get into nonpartisan issues. Corruption. One of the problems I have with the Democratic Party is that we have a lot of Democratic senators, and I'm talking not at the state level, but at the federal level. We have a lot of Democratic senators and congressmen that are actually taking money from the same exact billionaires that are donating to their Republican counterparts. That is not a good thing. We see this with some of our Democratic leadership where they take money from, say, the fossil fuel industry, but they're against the Green New Deal. Where they take money from the health and pharmaceutical industries, but they're against Medicare for all. Or where they take money from private prisons and they're against the federal decriminalization of cannabis. Corruption is... It doesn't care what party you're part of. We have corruption issues. Those are some of the things that I don't like about the Democratic Party. We have some Democrats, even here on our state, that are into unethical practices, like allegedly pocketing donations and things like that we need to put a stop to. It doesn't matter what party you are. If you are being a criminal, you should be treated like a criminal, and you should have the same consequences as regular people. But, oh man, it's hard. That's a tough question, man. Some of the things that I don't agree with the Democrats on, Medicare for All. I think Medicare for All is one of the most important pieces of legislation that we will see in our lifetimes, aside from climate change and the Green New Deal. It really starts to put people above profits, and especially when we live in a time where we are the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We have the greatest wealth inequality in the history of the world, and the number one cause of bankruptcy in this great wealthy nation is medical debt, where 70% of those people have medical insurance. There is a problem, and we have to do Medicare for All to fix this. The biggest pushbacks I get, nothing's free. Well, you're right, nothing's free, and we will pay for it, but we aren't going to be paying like 12 to 15 to 20% of our salaries for it. We are going to be paying about 4% of your salary after $29,000 income. So with the average household income of Arkansas being $40,000, you take $40,000 minus 29 leaves you with $11,000, and 4% of $11,000 is roughly $440 per year to cover an entire household's medical bills. There's no premiums, deductibles, or copays. $440 per year for the average Arkansan family not to have to worry about getting sick or losing their job and losing everything. These are super important issues that the Democratic Party doesn't necessarily support, which is why, some of the reasons I'm an independent. Another big one would be the federal decriminalization of cannabis, including nationally expunging cannabis-related convictions. We have to federally decriminalize. It has to be done. If someone put a bill in front of me to legalize, I would probably sign it. I'd ask my constituents what they wanted me to do, and I'd probably sign it. But the first step is federal decriminalization. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow states and our state voters to determine themselves whether or not they want cannabis to be recreationally legal, medicinally legal, or not legal at all. And it's going to be up to the states and the voters in the states to make those decisions, not up to the federal government. It's also going to protect our banks that are it's going to protect our legal businesses that are unable to do business with FDIC insured banks. We have to make sure that legal businesses aren't having to hoard cash because they can't bank properly because these banks are federally insured and don't want to lose their insurance. It's also going to protect our legal businesses from the DEA coming in and raiding and stealing their assets and confiscating. We need to make sure our legal businesses are protected from the DEA. But those are going to be the first steps towards federal decriminalization, and nationally expunging cannabis convictions is also extremely important because drug problems are not criminal problems, they're mental health problems. And we need to make sure that we start treating drug addicts like they need the mental help that we can give them with rehabilitation, not just throwing them in a cell, keeping them in that cell. That way, whoever owns that cell can make as much money as possible because they get paid every single day that cell is filled, trying to keep that cell full. That way they keep getting paid kind of thing. We don't need private prisons. That's just not the way that prisons were supposed to be. We need to get rid of chain gangs. We need to make sure that we're not building these private prisons like the one we just approved for LaSalle for $169 million to house 500 people when we could just expunge 500 cannabis convictions. Boom, we just saved $169 million. What could we spend that on? There's a lot of things we could spend that on that are better than building a prison. So on and so on and so on. There's just a few differences that I have with the Democratic Party. And specifically, as an independent, or as a candidate for the legislative branch, I think that it's important that our legislators aren't party affiliated, because our legislators, the whole point of a political party, sorry, I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but the whole point of a political party was to help candidates get elected to control the flow of government. That's not what our government is supposed to be. It's not for political parties or by political parties for political parties. It is supposed to be by the people for the people. And I don't think you can do that when you have a party behind you. If your party tells you to do something and you decide not to do it, then they just blackball you. And what are you going to do? Now you're no longer part of their party and they don't listen to you. You lose your power. An independent has the ability to leverage legislation between the two parties to negotiate parts of amendments and things like that will actually better benefit their constituents rather than falling into party lines. So those are some of the things, the reasons, Nick. I hope that answers your question thoroughly enough. Let's see here. Nick Daniels. I didn't see yours. Let me see. I'm going to scroll back up. Saab don't want to discuss anything policy related. Okay, hopefully you will actually read it and consider it. Let me scroll up a little bit more. I'd love to help make that part of your platform. Oh, here we go. I have a suggestion if anyone is willing to think about it with me. I don't want Trump or Biden to win. I think it would be nice as an American to be able to say, I don't want either of these. This would trigger a new election immediately that the previous participants be disqualified from and a whole new field introduced. In the case this happens, the current president would step down and the vice president would act as president until the new election is concluded. Wow, that is super scary. The only thing to me more scary than a Trump presidency is a Cotton presidency, and some are pretty close up there would be a Pence presidency as well. That dude's a scary dude. It's so hard. The first step, Nick, towards fixing this lesser of two evils issue that we've been facing now for multiple election cycles is ranked choice voting. We have to have ranked choice voting. And as soon as we have ranked choice voting, that's when you no longer have to choose the lesser of two evils. But I like what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, rather. It's just, I don't think it's possible for something like that to actually happen. Ranked choice voting, though, is going to be a legitimate way so that you don't have to worry about this kind of scenario anymore. I hope that was the question you asked that I didn't see. Yeah, they did have some gators out there. But I lived in Louisiana for 2 years. I've had my fair share of gator close encounters on oil rigs. Did you know gators run on their back legs when they're running really fast? And they can move, I think it's like 30 miles an hour. That was interesting to see. Let's see. Nick, I believe most people here are voting for Biden. We're against Cotton for about the same reasons as Trump. They're corrupt as hell. I'm a Democrat and cannot stand Cotton. Morgan. Hey, Morgan, how are you doing? Can you speak to the role of religion in politics and what can be done about the negative aspects that which can be presently seen? So that is actually a really important question that I honestly don't get very often. So there needs to be a clear separation between church and state. One of the main reasons that we fled the European nations and came here to America to form our own nation was to escape tyranny and religious persecution. We have to be able to practice our own religions in public, in our homes, but we have to make sure that we are not hurting anybody at the same time. We don't need cult sacrifices and things like that. Now, as far as having a separation between church and state, there needs to be a clear separation between church and state. Our government was not created to have a federal religion. And there's a reason for that. We don't have an actually nationally recognized religion. It makes it hard because some people have a really hard time keeping their religion separate from their elected position. And I mean, I have nothing against any other religions, Baptist, Catholicism, Christianity, Mormonism, I have nothing against them, but it does still bother me when I see elected officials using their official elected accounts, like their public accounts, for promoting religion. That should not be occurring. There does need to be a separation between church and state, and we start to see that a lot with pro-choice and pro-life movements. When they start to bring religion into politics and use their religious beliefs to push upon other people who are not involved in their religion. So it is a it is a hard conversation to have, but it is one that we do need to have. There has to be a clear separation between church and state. Practice your religion, but don't force it upon others. Let's see here. Yeah, Nick, and I do understand there are a lot of independents. Independents are honestly the largest voting bloc here in Arkansas right now. There are problems with both parties. There really are. The DPA has really dropped the ball these last few years. I mean, I was talking with someone and we were trying to figure out where the the Democratic Party of Arkansas started to go wrong. And I think one of the key factors that really hurt the Democratic Party here in Arkansas was when President Bill Clinton was elected. He took a lot of key, knowledgeable, heavily refined Democrats, a lot of our leadership out of Arkansas and took them away from us up into Washington, D.C., and a lot of them never came back. So we lost a lot of our good leaders who had the opportunity to pass down their knowledge and keep the party growing strong. So the question I get a lot is, can the Democratic Party be reformed? Can it be fixed from the inside? I don't have a good answer for that. We do have a lot of problems, and there are things that need to be fixed. Can they be fixed? Should we start a third party? Should we support a third party? It's really hard. I don't have those answers. As a legislator, like I said, I think it's really important to be an independent and not be party affiliated because you don't want the party to control the laws. But at the same time, parties do have their purposes at the state level because they can help candidates get elected. But how do you make sure that when a candidate is elected that they work for you and not the party? I mean, these are just really impossible questions to answer. I think integrity, transparency, and honesty are going to be the three biggest things towards finding those candidates. I try as hard as I can to make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on with my case all the time. As soon as I get an update, I let you all know. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I don't think I could be any more transparent. Thank you for the beer. But I don't know. Again, we are going to have a conversation when we do find out whether or not we do have ballot access on where to go from here. If I have ballot access, I'm 100% confident we are going to beat Tom Cotton. We're going to send Tom Cotton packing, and we are finally going to have a voice in the legislative process where I can extend your voice, and we can start turning Arkansas from this high-tax, low-income state into a state that we can be proud of. And I can do that at the federal level by helping to lower tax burdens on businesses, lower tax burdens on citizens, increase the health care that we're receiving through Medicare for All, increase the opportunity for education for all, making sure that even our low-income neighborhoods are able to get the same college education that higher-income communities are able to get as well. So I can help those things at the federal level with healthcare, taxes, federal minimum wage, and education. Those are things I can do at the federal level, which is why I really want to run to be United States Senator to help the people of Arkansas. I think that's super important right now with the different things we're facing, especially with COVID-19, quarantining, and the way we're transitioning into the technological era where we are doing more virtual learning, virtual, education for our school, virtual working from home, all these remote things that we're doing and focusing on. I can do a lot at the federal level to help us move in the right direction. Now, there are a lot of things we need to change at the state level as well. We are one of the highest taxed states. We also have some of the lowest income. We're right to work. We put fossil fuels above clean energy and renewable energy sources. We have legislators who take money from special interests like Tyson and Simmons and Walmart, and then in response, lower taxes for those companies while raising taxes for the rest of us. There are a lot of state issues that I could help with as well. One of the big problems of Arkansas is we have this unique issue where we have some of the highest ranked schools in the country and some of the best paid teachers, but at the same time, we have some of the lowest ranked education systems in the country and some of the lowest paid teachers. So that's why I would like to see on a state level, instead of using 90% of our educational funding comes from local property taxes, I would like to see us pool our property taxes throughout the entire state and then distribute the finances, that money, for each student and staff member evenly. That way we have our low-income communities that are receiving the same educational opportunities as our high-income communities. So there are still a lot of things I could do at the state level, and that's why we will have a where to go from here conversation later on if we have to. But we'll go that way. We'll talk about that later, probably in the next week or two when we know what's going to happen, because we are really still in it right now. They've finally filed their brief. We're just waiting for our panel of judges. They could take our case next week and say, we just went over everything. We read your briefs. We read everything there, and it was a severe burn. You have ballot access. If they want to do it, they could do that. That's why we need public pressure, public awareness. Let's see here. Dan, can I suggest you call the Tom Hartman Show? He will let any candidate on his show running for office. He's the #1 progressive talk show host in the U.S. and even reaches foreign nations and the military. You can find his contact info on his webpage. All right, I just opened up his webpage, and I will check that out as soon as I'm done. Thank you. I appreciate that, Judy. The answer is, I hope should be the correct one, is this. Policy should never be based on religious opinion. Thank you for your answer. Yeah, absolutely. Policy should be based on the people, what's best for the people, and what the people want for the people. It shouldn't be based on what a religion wants for the people or how people want to push their religion on other people. Yes, reducing and eliminating student loan debt is extremely important. $1.6 trillion is the cost to eliminate student debt completely. And we just injected $6.5 trillion into the Wall Street stock markets back in March and April so that billionaires could get their stocks to go back up before liquidating their portfolios, taking out $565 billion from the market, getting super rich while everyone's 401ks just tumbled down and we couldn't pull them out because of tax penalties. So if we can bail them out to $6.5 trillion, we can bail out students to $1.6 trillion. Let's see. But so if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them at this point. I've kind of gone over pretty much everything that I wanted to go over. I can't really think of anything else that we need to go over.
The yard sign.
Oh yeah. So we've got yard signs out. Oh my gosh. We've got almost 500 yard signs out around the state right now. I'm running out of yard signs. I'm not sure if I should buy more. I'm not sure what to do. I'm kind of waiting to see ballot access, how it goes, before we make another $3,000 commitment to get more yard signs. So if you do want a yard sign, I suggest going to the website and purchasing one before they're all gone. We are getting low. I've got them all over the place by now. I hope you've seen them. And if you haven't, then buy one and put one out for people in your community to see. let's see here. I did put some yard signs out in Dardanelle. They all disappeared, so I put a couple more out there. The Bella Vista ones have also been disappearing. We lost almost every single yard sign yesterday. And it was interesting because they were all there the day before yesterday, but yesterday someone pulled out almost all of the yard signs from Bella Vista. So, you know, if someone pulls them out, just put them on back. If you're having big issues where you've bought multiple yard signs and you're putting there, let me know and I'll send you out some for free so you can keep them putting them back. Maybe I'll send you like a trail cam to borrow so you can find out who's doing it and stuff like that. But so that's where we're at there. Let me see one more comment on here. Nick, well said. That's exactly what I was looking for. Not being blind to the corruption from both parties. And that's the thing is, honestly, it does not matter whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Green Party member, a Libertarian, an Independent. If you are doing something wrong, you should answer the consequences of what you did. Actions have consequences, and it shouldn't matter what party you're part of. Nobody is above the law. Medicare for all is a major issue for me, and I agree completely. Oh, thank you, sir. It is a major issue, and it's super important that we keep talking about it and educating people on what it really is. It was so hard because it's crazy that Medicare for all is nothing like Medicare. You don't need supplements. You don't have to be of age. You don't have any copays or anything like that. It should have been called healthcare for all. Let's see here. It is a misdemeanor to steal and tamper with yard signs. I believe in the state of Arkansas, it is up to a 20-day prison sentence and a $200 fine for each sign removed. What would I do to support early childhood education? Kristen, that's an awesome question. Thank you. It's something that I don't talk about often enough, and it's probably something I should put on my policy page. Being a father of oh my gosh, she's a second grader now. It's crazy how fast time goes. Being the father of someone who had a child in childcare for pre-K, I completely understand the difficulties, the expenses, time constraints, all these different things. We do need to make sure that we have some kind of federal childcare or pre-K system for early childhood support. How do we fund it? Man, it's really tough because one of the biggest problems here in America, I guess I could just say this, is we have a lot of billionaires and corporations that avoid taxation altogether. They use legal loopholes. Well, I guess the first thing they do is they purchase politicians. They give politicians huge, amazing, crazy amounts of money, get these politicians into office, and then once these politicians are in office, these politicians help them pass legislation. Well, they actually will write the legislation and give it to the politician, and then the politician will get the legislation passed, which will help benefit them, and sometimes create legal tax evasion loopholes. We have a lot of billionaires and corporations that avoid taxation altogether. There's already today over an estimated $21 trillion floating around in offshore bank accounts, building interest in foreign banks that has been untaxed and has not come back down into our society, which is why trickle-down economics fails, because people are greedy and criminals. But if we could just enforce taxation on billionaires and corporations like Amazon and Netflix, the Koch brothers, Gates, all these people who avoid taxes, then we could use a lot of that money to help with so many different programs. We could probably have more tax revenue than we even knew what to do with. We could rebuild our infrastructure. By the way, people, Flint, Michigan still has poisoned water. How many times do we have to say this? I mean, it's fucking 2020. 2020. What's it been, like 8 years? Flint, Michigan still has poison water. We can fix that. Why don't we? Because they're poor communities. We need to fix it. But we could use money to do things like that. We could use that money to build new schools, to build new playgrounds, to plant trees. We need to plant billions and billions and billions of trees. What's the best way to combat climate change? How about we stop deforestation and plant trees? That's a good idea. There are a lot of things we can do. Education, healthcare, but we have to start by getting money out of politics. We have to start by ending these legal tax evasion loopholes. That way we can give the money that we are spending up into our society back down into our society. I hope that answers your question. Let's see. I wanted to play with this real quick. Let's see. Can I Is there a poll? How do I do that? Here's my poll. If I click here, publish poll. Oh, I wish I'd have done this earlier. I don't know how it works. Honey, do you see a poll on there? Did it pop up? No, maybe. I don't know. I'm just getting used to this. But I popped up a poll there on the web, the live stream. Let's see if I can do my feature link. Do you see a link to my website on there? No. Sorry, guys. This is all new equipment, and next week will be a lot smoother. I'm just figuring it out. Okay, so feature link. Show a link during your live video to let viewers know about your website or to raise money through a third-party platform. Website link. Okay, it's right here. So how do I shoot up my feature link? There's got to be a way to do it. It's going to be a button to click that I don't see, but I guess that's okay. All right. Something I'll have to play with and figure out later. Okay, so I guess that's kind of where we're at. Let's see here. Testing for THC in company employees wouldn't be a bad violation of HIPAA if the employee's positive but has a medical permit. Big Pot USA. That is such an important issue. Oh, there we go. Do you see my poll now? No. Really? Did it pop up? I see it on my screen.
Yes, but I don't see it.
Nice. Cool. I see it on there. Cool beans. So Big Pot USA, that is a very, very important topic to talk about, which we can spend a couple minutes talking about. We need to make sure that law-abiding American citizens are not being punished for their recreational choices. We do not test people for alcohol. We don't use like a month-long alcohol test to see if someone's drinking alcohol within the last month and determine their employment status on that test. If you are a legal medicinal patient and you are not getting high on the job, you should not be able to lose your job for getting high when you're not on the job. That is part of your medical relief, especially if you are a law-abiding medical patient. In legal states, it's still like in like California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, all these different places. Not Nevada. Ugh, I don't know why I said that. I lived there for 5 years. These different places that have already legalized it, they need to not be doing THC testing. The way that they are doing THC testing, they should not be doing it. You should be doing hair follicle tests, and you shouldn't be doing urine tests. You can do a blood test, which will tell you if someone has smoked. I think it's like within the last 4 or 8 hours or something like that. So there are tests that can be done. But I'll tell you this, if you are an employer and your employee comes into work high, yes, of course, you should terminate them, or on your discretion, whatever you want to do. Discipline them, or don't discipline them. It's your job. It's your business. Do whatever you want. But you know if someone's high. If someone comes in high, you're going to know if they're high. And if you can't tell if they're high, then they're probably not high. Not rocket science. But we do need to make sure that we are protecting law-abiding citizens, especially medical patients, from employment retaliation. Let's see here. If I click this, okay, so that's published. Cool. I'm so excited with this right now. I'm going to, be messing with this over these next few days. I played with it earlier for about 2 hours before my live stream, and I didn't have time really to get everything going how I wanted it to go. So next week will be a little bit better. But yeah, did I have any other questions or anything from anybody? I mean, I know y'all have been sticking in here for an hour now. Can I move this poll? I can remove the poll. Let's see here. No more questions. Question? No question? Question? I should buy a boat. Corky Romano reference. All right, guys. Well, I am going to go ahead and start barbecuing. We are going to barbecue for dinner tonight. Some chicken. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me for my weekly live stream Q&A update for August the 22nd. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how long it's been since we've done one of these. I do plan on doing another weekly live stream update Q&A next Saturday night at 6 p.m. like what is supposed to be normal and usual. Hopefully by then we'll have a little bit more news about what's going on with our ballot access, who our panel of judges is, if they have already given a determination by then, if they have approved our expedite, and a few different questions that we do have. Let's see here. And then what we'll do is, like I said, after we know whether or not we do or do not have ballot access, if we do have ballot access, hallelujah, we're going to beat Tom Cotton. I'm very confident of it, super excited. If we don't have ballot access, we will determine where we go from here, what you all want me to do with my time, with my energy, and with the contributions and things like that. I'll let you all decide. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I do appreciate it. My name's Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate running for United States Senate here in Arkansas. I hope you like my Trinity knot with my hog's tie. Have a great night. May God bless y'all, and may God bless America. Oh man, I need my new